Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the man behind the counter, Duncan, and today I thought, in celebration of the 100th video of Video Mania 2, we would talk about an all-time great. It is Kickboxer, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it also stars Dennis Alexio, Dennis Chan, Rochelle Ashana, Haskell Anderson, and in the movie, at the end credits, is billed as Tong Po, who's the main villain, as himself, but it's actually one of Van Damme's childhood friends, and somebody he's known for decades, a guy named Michael Kesey. So he actually plays Tong Po here. Now, the movie, uh, my origins with it were, Jean-Claude Van Damme was my first favorite movie star, actor, all that stuff, because I was blown away by the trailers for Lionheart. And that was the first movie I saw with him. So after Lionheart, I started watching all his movies. And this one I saw in the video store a few times. It had different cover art than this, but it showed Van Damme, like that, like in a fighting pose, and it showed Tong Po beaten up, and it had a cool liner note there. It said a little thing headline said Kickboxer and had Van Damme's name over Kickboxer, and then it said, "If your enemy refuses to be humbled, destroy him." And I was like, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. And so I didn't have a chance to rent it that day, but I took a trip with my family to Philadelphia, just an overnight trip. And I remember we stayed in the hotel for a little bit, and they had HBO in the hotel, so we just cut it on. And I saw the final 30 minutes, 35 minutes of Kickboxer. And this is when Van Damme was promoting Double Impact. So he was everywhere. He was on the rise. So, HBO was showing, this movie. And I saw it, and it started with the training montage, which I'll talk about later. And I just remember, okay, I'm going to watch this. And I watched the last 35 minutes, like I said, and was absolutely blown away. And, I was like, I was an even bigger fan of Van Damme's after this. So it was like, rent even more stuff. And I eventually rented it so I could watch the entire thing. And I absolutely loved it. This movie, the story is pretty basic here. Van Damme's brother is played by Dennis Alexio, who was actual kickboxing champion. And here it opens up, and he's winning everywhere he goes. He's like, I got this. And then a reporter asks him, I heard there's kickboxers in Thailand, and they're supposed to be the best at it. And he's like, well, send me to Thailand. I'll keep proving it. And so they go to Thailand. His name's Eric Sloan, and his brother Kurt is Von Damme's character. So they go to Thailand, and Eric gets ready to fight their champion, Tong Po. And it does not go well. Thai boxing is a little bit different from traditional kickboxing. There were elbows, and the rules were not as strict. So anyway, Eric Sloan, he gets paralyzed in the fight, and so he's lucky to have lived. So Kurt's there, and a guy he meets, Haskell Anderson's character, they take him, the hospital, and he's like, you just go home. Tong Po's protected by the local syndicate there. He's very powerful, and he tells Kurt, you are not good enough to take him on because Kurt wants revenge. He's like, I want to fight Tong Po. He's like, there is no way you have any chance. So he starts looking around for the Muay Thai schools to, learn to take on Tong Po. And it's kind of an interesting montage. They play like this 80s kind of power ballad, and so while he looks different schools, and they all laugh him out of there. So after that, Taylor, Haskell Anderson's character, I'm sorry, I went blank on it. I remember now. Winston Taylor, says, "You're really serious about this Muay Thai, aren't you?" He's like, "Yes, I am." He's like, "I know a guy out in the boonies of Thailand who just might be crazy enough to train you." So they go meet him, and so his name's Zen Chow, and so Taylor takes him out there, takes Kurt out there, and Kurt's like, "I want you to teach me Muay Thai." He's like, "Okay, how's your defense?" And he starts showing. He's like, "Your defense stinks, so you need to. You got a long way to go before you could ever think of that." But he's like, I'll think about it. So then he goes to the local food market, which is run by Xian's niece, Mai Li, and so he meets her. So that's the love interest for the story. And Eric Sloan gets a little bit better, but he's paralyzed for life. But he comes to, and he's like, "I don't want you to fight Tong Po." So that's basically the story. It sets up the climactic fight for Kurt Sloan and Tong Po. And there's a few twists and turns along the way. But what makes this movie great is the training montages, which, is a formula that's been used in a lot of 80s movies. Here's some of the best and some unconventional training methods. You know, Kurt Sloan has to run barefoot around the boonies of Thailand. And so Xian attaches a stake to his shorts and has his dog chase him, to speed him up and get his conditioning better. He does some unconventional things. And one of the best parts, and the music kicks in and all that, is he's like, kick the tree. And, Kurt Stone starts kicking. He's like, he's going to break my shin. I can't kick this tree anymore. He's like, then go home. He's like, pack your bags, go. You don't want this. He's like, your brother, remember? And so Kurt does that, and then Kurt's like, okay, you want me to just kick? And he just tunes it all out and just starts whacking the tree. I mean, just kicking it and kicking it super hard until he takes it down, and then he falls to the ground at her shins. But it's like Uncle Zian was like, okay, you want this, but it worked. And also part of the training montage too, like to help build up his core, to take impact. He would drop the giant. I don't know if it was coconuts, but it seemed like coconuts. He would drop them from trees and so it would land on his stomach. That was, Zien's training methods. So he has all that. The music here is great, and the ultimate, fight is good for the 80s style fights. The choreography here, and Van Damme uses his athleticism here. It's all great. I just remember when I saw it, though, I was just like, wow, this is the peak of, martial arts cinema for me. I absolutely love it. So that's my thoughts on it. And if you like movies like Kickboxer and older martial arts movies, give Video Mania 2 a like, a subscribe. This is awesome to hit 100 videos now. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.